in my world, there's all these conversations about legacy wealth, leaving your kids an inheritance, and we use biblical terms, and it's ironic. I just updated my trust today, and she asked like how we want to do things. I said, for now, we're going to do that, but I have this thing I've been really thinking about, and I actually saw a quote recently. It said the greatest legacy we leave our children is not money, it's education. And for me, it's really shifted from, I don't want to make their lives easier. I do not want to leave them something that will ruin their life or take away the battles that they need to fight.
Right.
The legacy I want to leave them is, number one, I want them to truly know they're loved and valued.
Yeah.
And I believe for me that comes in its purest form from knowing God. But number two, I want them to know how to manage well in this world, in this financial system, in this Western culture, and all the madness that's coming out of it. And so my focus is really shifting from leaving them anything to, while I have them, I need to try to focus on these two things. I think these are, I may change this, but today, like I'm feeling like these are the two most important things that I help them with. I think you were saying that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're actually doing some work right now looking to specifically target the financial professional, the financial industry. And one of the facts that we've arrived to, and it's not like it's a surprise, but it supports this idea. But a lot of financial professionals, whether you're a financial advisor, a financial wholesaler, maybe you're a mortgage banker, somewhere in that space of helping families secure their financial future, the motivation that got them into that profession is a deep intrinsic motivation. It's this deep desire to try to help other people thrive and succeed and flourish, or whatever that looks like. What's interesting is the current investor, so you and I as a consumer showing up with our advisor, recognizing that most of us are only motivated to a certain point of meeting that basic level of needs to live and comfort. And then every dollar above that is really has a big diminishing return. And so if we're showing up speaking to that consumer as if we're going to help them make the biggest portfolio of retirement to pass on to their children's children, we're not actually speaking the message of their heart, which is they don't care at a certain point. They don't care about all that money. Now, it's not that anyone's going to turn it down, but what we really need to speak to is, how are you going to show up in every photograph? How are you at this point going to show up at every event? Because that is what we want. We want to live life with our kid. That is the legacy we want to live, is showing up rather than just having a bank account full of money. I think that's what you're kind of wrestling with right now, maybe in a different way, but it's similar in that space of, it's not just about maybe the old school millions of dollars.
Yeah, the notions of retirement and legacy as it relates to inheritance are largely crafted, in my opinion, from an era of in the West where we were awakening the middle class to the probability that they were going to be able to retire. Like, the notion of retirement is only a few generations old.
True.
It's a brand new idea. And then it escalated really quick to where the golden years and all these different stuff. And so then we've given that a pretty good run. And it's not a bad thing. But now we know things like people are bored in their retirement.
And they die.
And then they die. And what really, the place we find meaning in life is creating value for the benefit of others. And so if you've worked your whole life doing something you hate, or maybe you're only mildly motivated by, or something like that, in order to make enough money so that you can finally do what you want, and what you think you want is to take care of yourself, that's all backwards. And I think we're on the other side of some learnings about what this whole retirement legacy thing is. I think so too. And we need to keep a hold of those words. The idea of retirement is still an interesting idea, and legacy still matters, but it's not in money necessarily.
No, it's more.
It's the balance thing again.
It's much bigger than that.
And I think we're trying to get the notions of how do we live our life now in our daily careers into how do we retire well. And like I think my favorite way to say is, let's all retire from have to and get to the get to. But that doesn't mean we stop working. And by work, all I mean is creating value for others. right?
Yep.
Let's get to things that are even more meaningful, sometimes which include making money, and that's all fine. And instead of legacy, like this idea of I want to leave a legacy, I'm like, dude, it's done. You will. There's no doubt you will. Mm-hmm. Whatever you do with your life will be your legacy.
Yeah, one way or the other.
One way or the other. Yeah. There is no legacy or legacy. And the way the financial mind or the money idea is, it's I'm either going to leave them no inheritance or a massive inheritance, which will be my legacy. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, that's one. Yep. There's all kinds of legacies you can leave. And again, the idea of balancing things out.
Yeah.
I want to, the legacy I want to leave more than anything else. And one of my sons is sitting right over here, and I don't know if he knows this or not, is I want to teach him how to think.
Yeah.
Because the world that we're creating right now is changing so fast that we can't actually prepare people for careers, because the careers they're going to be working in 20 years haven't even been invented yet.
Right.
Because that was true 20 years ago.
Yes.
So I don't need to teach you a skill that will take care of you. I need to teach you how to think.
Thinking. Yep.
And how to engage the world. And then thinking to me is not head, heart differentials. It's being able to see. How good are you at being able to see what's going on around you? Both situational awareness, but also emotional awareness. What's happening right now? Mm-hmm. What's actually happening? And how deep can you see what's actually happening? Mm. That's where influence comes from. Yep. That's where impact comes from. And if you can do that, you can see trend adjustments. You can see change happening. You can stand. It's where I think resilience resides. Yep. Like I got hit twice this week by some pretty big emotions that were handed to me as though they were mine. And it took me a minute to be resilient enough to be able to go, wait a minute, those aren't mine, right? Nope. But that took seeing, which took thinking, which took a community of people. So to sum all that up, the legacy, I think we get to think through legacy in a more balanced and whole way. And I honestly don't care if I leave my kids any money. It doesn't motivate me. I'm not interested in that, because that hasn't been my life purpose to make it for myself. It's a fine idea. And I know people who are deeply committed to that process of leaving inheritance, and it can be a beautiful thing. But if I was to rant even louder, it'd be like, why is it always all about money?
Yeah.
Why is that the definition of legacy? I think it's about showing up as the best version of yourself and then doing that for the benefit of others. And if you can figure out what that version is and then consistently drive to figure out how to show up as a better version of that, and if that shows up in money, awesome. But what are the other ways that could possibly show up? There's tons of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like your story about being in Africa and watching a bunch of kids playing soccer.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with money.
Nope. It had nothing to do with money.